Welcome everyone to the Silverstone 500 and British GT's biggest event of the year, where 33 cars will tackle Sunday's 3-hour race here at the home of British Motorsport. It is Friday, it is therefore time for the pit lane preview. We're going to have a look down this very long pit lane at Silverstone at the cars we've got competing this weekend, and we're starting at the top of the pit lane with Beechdene AMR and the Silver Am winning Aston Martin Vantage from Donington Park. Andrew Howard and Tom Wood sharing that one this weekend in an expanded Silver Am entry that encompasses 7 GT3 cars. Another Aston Martin next up. It is the GT4 variant of the Vantage, the MKH Racing example. That one is racing in the new Endurance Cup this year, as well as for overall points. On to 2Cs and 2 Mercedes AMGs, and the car you're looking at here that won at Donington Park. Cian Dewis winning first time out in British GT, and Charles Dawson winning on his GT3 debut. Now, there is an update for this car. It will carry 30 kilos extra this weekend due to its performance at Donington Park. The sister car next door finished 3rd at Donington, shared as always by Kevin Zay and Maximilian Goetz. Both of those cars, as they finish in the top 3, will have compensation time in their final pit stop on Sunday. 20 for the 42 car and 10 for 18. On to Rob Boston Racing, and the Cayman is back with us. Another of the Endurance Cup cars this weekend. Former champion Will Burns shares with Jamie Orton. Paddock's McLaren in the familiar black and pink. You know that one. And then a couple of garages down, unfortunately, so we can't have a look at any of the Team Parker Racing entries, which is a bit of a shame because we do like that new Porsche 911 GT3R. They also, of course, have the Mercedes, 2 Mercedes, incidentally, one for the full season and one for the Endurance Cup campaign. The number 12 car, actually, of Ed McDermott and Seb Morris, that finished 3rd at Donington, 10 seconds extra for them in the pit stop on Sunday. Now, we've waited since 2020 to have a Ferrari race in British GT, and 3 have turned up at once. This is the full season entry of AF Corsa, Duncan Cameron and Matt Griffin. They were supposed to race at Donington but had an ELMS clash, so this is the first time out for this car. We saw it at Media Day here last month, but really hoping that a Ferrari is actually going to race this weekend. As I said, there are 3 of them. One did come here last year but crashed in free practice and it didn't actually get to race. Here is the second of them. Another AF Corsa run, Spirit of Race 296. Marco Vivian and Francesco Castellacci, they are one of the race by race entries this weekend. We actually posted this livery on social earlier this week. Got a really good response. Can't really see it without the doors, unfortunately, but really gone for the palm tree look in a similar way to 2Cs. Perfect timing. Orange JMH, I was about to say they're in scrutineering, but they are now back. A very, very pretty McLaren 720S, Simon Orange and Marcus Clutton in that one. And we'll carry on. This is a bit of a rough and tumble pit walk, as you can probably tell. Both Optimum McLarens there. Just turn around, Joe, and have a look. There they are. There's the race winner, number 90 from Donington. We'll get down to those in a minute. And we're here at Barwell, and it's a real shame that a number 1 car isn't here, because it has Rob Collard back on board this weekend. Rob has recovered from his unforeseen medical procedure and will be making his first start of the season as reigning champion alongside Hugo Cook. Sorry for that generator. Now, the 78 car, that has got plus 15 seconds in its final pit stop on Sunday, and it also has a new driver on board. Alex Martin is joined by Patrick Kujala. Sandy Mitchell isn't racing this weekend. Right, a bit of a gap before we get to the next set of pit garages, so an opportunity to remind you about the very specific pit stop regulations that we have at the Silverstone 500. There are 3 pit stops in total, 4 stints, but there are no pit stop windows. In fact, the regulations are very open for GT racing. No driver can do more than 100 minutes of total drive time, and no stint can last any longer than 65 minutes. So that means we're going to see, potentially, if there's a safety car, if there's some inclement weather, cars stopping at really unusual times. It's not unusual for some cars to stop after lap 1. Right, we've passed Jolt Racing because their McLaren isn't in the garage, but you'll notice there are 2 Blackthorn Aston Martins here this weekend. This is the race-by-race version. Claude Levet and Charles Bateman on board. Charles was actually the very first Silverstone 500 winner back in 2012. The driver that won the year before, i.e. the last time this wasn't a 3-hour race, was Johnny Adam. 19 overall British GT wins to his name. Johnny has never won the Silverstone 500. No compensation time on Sunday. I think that car is going to go very well indeed. Right, on we go. A Mahiki, 3 Lotuses for these guys this weekend. And they all look very similar. The silver entry, that one is, it's over here I believe. No, sorry, I've got it wrong. They all do look very similar. The silver entry is this one, and this was the car that set pole position at Donington. There was a slight discrepancy after qualifying, it got moved to the back. However, Aidan Neate charged through the pack to lead by the end of the opening stint. If that car qualifies well, it could go very well indeed on Sunday. Right, on we go. And we've got an Audi. Stella haven't raced in the top class of British GT since 5 years ago. And its R8 is back this weekend with Matt Topham sharing with Darren Burke. They were actually apprentice and coach from back in their Caterham days. And the livery, although you can't see it on the front here, is with Matt's trademark Scully. So first time we've seen the black and the yellow for that particular Audi. You might remember Matt was in the Barwell Lamborghini subbing for Rob Collard at Donington. Here is the third of the Ferraris. Kessel Racing, obviously a big name from endurance racing in Europe and around the world. That one has Andrew Gilbert and Fran Rueda in it. Those guys, this is their third Silverstone 500. They always come here as a race-by-race entry, one of those 7 Silveram entries. Here's another one of them. It's the Honda. Obviously, we saw a lot of this at Donington Park. Johnny Ipp and Luke Garlick on board that one. And on we go to Century, which is actually back, with a GT3 car this weekend. We'll get to that one in a minute. This one is Charlie Robertson and Ravi Ramid. They finished second at Donington, plus 15 seconds at their final pit stop on Sunday. And then, of course, we've got the second car of Brendan Templeton and Chris Salkeld. No pit stop penalty for them. Right, we're going to have a quick dive in around the GT3 side of Century's garage because they have a race-by-race entry this weekend, and it is the new M4 GT3 Evo. 2 of those new Evos with us actually this weekend, but this one is shared by Will Moore and John Kearney. Will making his first British GT3 start since 2016 this weekend, would you believe? He races this car in Europe with Century, and obviously has been a GT4 regular with us over the years. John Kearney makes his championship debut. On to ABBA, one of our favourites of course, the Nearies. And on we go. That car actually started on pole here a couple of years ago when qualifying was washed out, and we had to take the free practice results. Just the one of the Greystone GT McLarens race this weekend, but they always have a spare. That's Andre Borodin and Ollie Webb. And here is another of the race-by-race entries, and it's an absolute victory contender. 2023 champions Darren Leung and Dan Harper reunite in British GT at least with the car that they raced together in World Challenge Europe. These guys not only won the 2023 title together, but they also won the Silverstone 500 that year. You might remember that amazing swashbuckling stint from Dan towards the end of the race to put that car into the lead from, started somewhere like 14th. Optimum, we saw both these cars trundle past us a minute ago. This is the silver entry of Harry George and Luke Hopkinson, which qualified second at Donington but had a gearbox issue on lap 1. Basically didn't see it for the rest of the race. Polar opposite for 90, which actually won the race in the hands of reigning champion Jack Brown, his new co-driver Mark Warren. Jack is a 2-time defending Silverstone 500 GT4 class winner. He's going for an unprecedented 3rd win in a row this weekend, but he will have the maximum 20 seconds of compensation time at his final pit stop. And finally, down the end of the pit lane, we have, well, two more Optimum McLarens, but these are, of course, the GT3 version, 720S. Mike Price and 2019 Silverstone 500 winner Callum McLeod share the number 3. And then we have, of course, got Marvin Kirchhoffer and Morgan Tilbrook in the 77. Marvin actually holds the lap record around here from 2022 when he finished second by something like half a second from Sandy Mitchell. I think this car, without a success penalty, is really in the fight on Sunday. Right, that is quite a long and well, rough and tumble pit lane preview this week, but a reminder that track action begins in earnest tomorrow with qualifying, pre-qualifying and free practice. You can, of course, watch qualifying live on Sky Sports F1 and SRO's GT World YouTube channel. And those same outlets are available for the race on Sunday, which goes green at 12:30.